drive old school bus chassis covered in papier-mâché, pansies, and puppets. Why? Chicks dig floats. Just ask the Carson County Pork Queen waving from the back end.
Lovely Pork Queen.
You drive with sweaty palms. One wrong move from you, and Paul Tilley's old-timey barbershop quartet is history.
Oh!
So crack open an ice cold Bud Light, oh thoroughbred of the thoroughfare. When it comes to parades, you really float our boat. Bud Light beer, Anheuser-Busch.
Here are your hosts.
Your hosts for this evening, Shaggy.
Who the fuck are you? You nothing. You nothing. You are nothing. You will never be anything. Never.
Colin.
Anybody know who you are? You miserable, presumptuous, no talent. You obviously don't have the talent.
And Mike, the Ape Man.
You are everything that's gone wrong in this world. You are self-consumed, no talent, mediocre piece of shit.
PTR Radio.
And welcome everybody to PTR Radio here on the fabulous interweb. Now available on everywhere that they will possibly let us be. We couldn't find anywhere else that would carry this show. And trust me, we tried. So, Mike, are you ready for this?
Go for it.
Tonight, we're on YouTube. We're on YouNow. And like last time, we're back on Rant Radio.
So we're like everywhere.
We are tri-casting.
We're a triple threat.
That's right.
And we're podcast. We're a quad threat.
That's right. We can't get no better. So, folks, if you don't find a way to listen to the show, to get, with us, we don't know what your problem is. I mean, you can't be connected to the web in any way, shape, or form. We suggest you buy a computer. Because other than being on the front page of Yahoo, I don't see how we could make it any bigger.
It could be on YouTube Red.
We should look into that. How do we be on YouTube Red?
Oh, boy. If we got on YouTube Red, that would basically mean somehow we were getting paid to do this, which would be awesome. But
yeah.
I'm a realist.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I know that we are. It's problematic doing everything that we do now. I cannot imagine adding yet another subscriber base.
Well,
realistically,
one thing I've noticed looking at YouTube is that
when
we first started the show, people complained that our show was too short.
Yes.
And I look at everything that is popular on YouTube, and 15 minutes is pretty much the limit.
Yeah, people still complain that our show is too short or our show is too long. And the last show that I uploaded was an hour and 37 minutes after I got done cutting, beginning, the middle, and the end out. And by the time I got rid of taking care of all of our, break material and cutting out our pauses, we got it down to an hour and 37 minutes, which is quality content. It's an hour and 37 minutes of quality content. So if you can't find 90 minutes in 2 weeks, I don't know what your problem is. Again, living under a rock. And if you don't find this funny, I don't know what your problem is either. We are freaking hilarious. As evidenced right now by us being number 5 on the billboards in YouNow. That's the only thing I like about YouNow, because YouTube doesn't tell us where we rank and how awesome we are. YouNow does tell us how awesome we are and how much gold we get.
Look,
like Scrooge McDuck.
All I know is I'm looking at YouNow right now, right?
Yeah.
And it's not showing me who else is in talk. What I'm seeing underneath the stream is number one on number, like one-on-one or something. And it basically just looks like a bunch of teenage girls.
Well, there are a bunch of teenage. It looks like there's a mom and a couple of teenage girls and more teenage girls and a couple of awkward guys and a brother and sister fighting. So we're the best of that lot.
Yeah, I think we're not awkward guys.
Yeah, no. By the way, speaking of awkward times, especially when you're younger, one of the topics that we're going to be discussing during the show, which feel free to call in and add to the discussion, is we picked 3 times in our past that we either want to relive because it was so great, or more likely 3 times that we wish we could relive and do over again. You know, change something about it. So any mixture of that. Like for me personally, I have 2 times that I wish that I could go back and change something. And then I have a time that I would really like to relive again, because my memory is a little fuzzy.
No, all 3 of mine are things I want to change.
Things you want to change. They're all
But
things
for
you want to
various
change.
reasons.
Okay. And we'll be getting into those. Colin said before the show that it was much easier for him to think of things that he'd like to relive. Not to redo, but to relive.
Now it is.
Yeah.
When I was younger, it was fun to think about things I could relive. I could redo.
Now,
So
the irony of that is not lost on me, that Colin is the 1/3 of us that is not married.
yeah.
So he has not had experiences that would make him want to change things in his past.
I don't think he has as many regrets
I have,
as you and I.
I have things that I would like. I have regrets. Things that I would like to have changed, but now I no longer.
You think you moved past it?
It's okay. Well, here's how it is.
Uh-huh.
I can't get over the fact that if I changed the past, that I changed the present.
Okay. So
That's all right. Now, I was going to actually say this as a disclaimer with mine. I would change things, but under the assumption that it would not change how my life turned out.
So you're
'Cause
discarding
some
butterfly
of this
effect.
stuff further back, like, well, when we get into it.
Yeah.
When we get into it, I'll explain.
Specifically, one of my times, I was a major jerk. All right. And I don't think that changing that point would really make any effect on me today, other than it would be one thing I wouldn't regret and stay up at night thinking about when I can't sleep. You know, that's one thing. Just to give you an idea, okay, I have one thing from when I was about probably 9 years old. All right, 9 or 10. I think it's somewhere in there. I have another thing from when I was 15. All right, and 14, 15. I know it's before I could drive. And then I have another thing in there from when I was 21, 22. It was either late 21 or early 22. It was one of those two.
Okay.
All right. And I'm not going to tell you which one is the one I want to relive again. All right. I'll let you, we'll figure it out together. But, that's the ages that I'm hitting. I actually spanned them pretty far apart.
Ironically, that's about the ages of mine.
Yeah.
So I have a youthful one, I have a semi-recent one, and I have a middle-aged one.
Yeah. So, you know, that's what we're getting at. And like I said, you don't have to call up with 3. If you just want to call up with 1, that's fine. We're not expecting everybody to call up and give us 3 things, but if you just want to call up one time and tell us where, you know, I'd like to go back and relive that because it was just the greatest, or hey, you know what? I would like to go back and smack myself silly for doing this and redo it over again. That's the stuff that we're looking for this evening. And like I said, we'll span it over the whole 2 hours that we're on tonight. So if you want to think about it for a little bit, come back to us. That's fine. But that's what we're getting at tonight. So feel free to either IM those in, or which IM would be either through you now or at PTR Radio on Twitter. I know fitting it into 146 characters is going to be difficult, but you know, do it. By the way, that's my new. I don't know if I talked about this or not, but there's a new department at the state. All right, and did I talk about this at all?
We've briefly discussed.
There, but all right. So right now I'm with the IT department that I'm with right now is called BICS, Bureau of Communication and Computer Services. All right, which is a central computer system place for the state. Well, shortly, I'm going to be pulled out of it, and I'm going to be put into this new department of innovation and technology. Now, the acronym for the new department is DO IT. DOIT.
No.
Yeah.
Do it.
No.
Yes.
That's not the worst part, Mike. The worst part is that they didn't even make it up themselves.
No, it's very
Because
common.
that's, yeah. 'Cause I know, like, the city of Chicago's IT department is also named Do It.
I'm looking for a speech because we actually have the first speech.
What you need to do as a result of this is you need to go to ThinkGeek and get the personal soundtrack T-shirt. And when you walk in to a room for a meeting, you play the clip of Arnold. Do it now.
Well, see, we
Get
actually
to the
have
chopper.
the first announcement from our CIO, and I'll play you a little bit of that just so that you can hear it, because I think it's motivational. Really, is what it is.
Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it! Some people dream of success while you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible.
I love that. In fact, we were all going to change our ringtones to just this part right here.
Do it! Just
Somebody somewhere. Oh God, was it Porterhouse Media? I think our good friend Steve Porter actually made a club mix of that whole rant.
All right, now I got to look it up. Do it, club mix. Shmo Yoho did one. I know.
Oh, that's the Gregory brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, so let's see. Let's listen to theirs real quick.
because
Since
we
we're-
need a copyright infringement for this week.
We've already had one. We're gonna have one later anyway.
Paste down my face, on my hair, on my shirt. She looks at me, and I'm looking at her. 1, 2, 3. Your life is your life. Somewhere there's light.
Boy, this is
The gods wait to delight in you. It meets the darkness. You're marvelous. Let's pretend to be you. Let's pretend to be your life is your life.
all right. I'm gonna have to listen to more of that because I really just want to get him to get to the do it part.
I'm telling you, I think you should download that, and that should be part of your playlist for your next gig.
If I have a work gig, I will.
I'm actually, I'm in negotiations to do like a kind of media display for the groomer. that
Okay.
just reopened. Like basically just, a TV that has their services, their prices and stuff. And so help me God.
Are you gonna slipstream in some ads?
Oh yes, I am. And I'm going to just slipstream in random things. And that's going to be one of them.
That'll be awesome.
We're either going to buy the TV that has the built-in DVD player, where I just have to make a DVD and it'll set it so it automatically loops, or I'm going to get a media box that I would just plug a thumb drive in and they'd have to play. I don't know, but
Well, the easiest thing would be you should just be able to, half the TVs now, they can just play media files right off of the card. And you can just tell it go to next. You won't have fancy transitions is the problem.
oh no, see, I need that, and I need sound.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you'd have sound. That wouldn't be a problem.
At least the first time, I'd have a disc like to gank them with, and then I'd switch it out, and
Yeah.
when I'm not there, all of a sudden Shia LaBeouf is going to loot.
Yeah. Give that to them as the emergency disc for if something goes wrong. In case of emergency, play this.
Or, if I just, the easiest thing actually would be to just run a wire to a separate DVD player, like behind the counter. This way they can put it in.
Yeah.
And it'd be easier to just play. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
What was great was Colin, you'll remember this episode. That was an episode of our favorite TV show where they wired a separate radio in the trunk to the car speakers. And so, short guy was messing with the car trying to turn off Genesis, and he couldn't turn it off because it was wired into the trunk. And that show has yet to... Now, Mike, you actually brought that up. They're still waiting on a name.
Yeah, and apparently Clarkson has said he spent thousands of pounds trying to develop a name for this show.
I don't doubt it. I actually watched James May's got a new show on BBC.
Yes.
Mike, you would hate this show so bad, and you're gonna hate it because it's called The Reassembler. And it's only 3 episodes.
Yeah,
I
3
think.
episodes.
3 episodes.
It's the last thing he's doing for the BBC.
And what he's doing is he's putting back together things that were taken apart.
Okay.
So, like, one of them, he's got a 1950s lawnmower.
Yep.
That was completely taken apart into 340 some pieces. And
a 1957 Bakelite telephone with internal ringer.
yeah, and so he and so what he does is he puts it back together
For half an hour.
Yeah, that's the show.
No commercials. Just 30 minutes of James May putting things together.
Putting him, yeah. So that is
It's
so interesting.
we probably both watched all 3 episodes.
I've only watched the first one.
Oh, I've watched all 3.
I've only watched the first one where he puts back together something.
The mower, and then he does a telephone, and then he does an electric guitar.
Yes, I want to watch the electric guitar because interesting. But so yeah, Mike, wouldn't you hate that show?
I would. I would indeed hate that show.
But
I gotta say, it's very quickly becoming my. Well, okay. We'll just say this. I think it's amazing that now that Clarkson is gone, they still managed to have a bigger stink from the new Top Gear than they ever had with Clarkson.
Oh yeah,
with that whole
Travaldi Square, or not the square.
Cenotaph.
Yeah,
which I looked it up because I didn't really know what it was, and basically it was the equivalent of taking a car and doing donuts right in front of the Vietnam Memorial.
Yeah,
and not expecting people to yell.
I figured it was something that was going to be, I knew they were going to have a problem somewhere. So,
but anyway, I was going to say, there's another television show that has really taken my interest.
Okay, what is it? Maybe Mike will like this one.
It's a kids show.
Oh,
it's Thunderbirds Are Go.
Wait, like the marionettes?
It's the new one.
There's a new one.
Are they still marionettes?
No, they're CG. But the sets are still models. And they're done by Weta.
So do they do CG strings?
No, there's no strings.
Ah.
But they still sometimes animate the CG characters in ways that make them look like they're still puppets. Just every so often. It's like there's this one scene where they're all going into these buildings, and the buildings are obviously painted old PC chassis.
Okay.
But the show is amazing. I highly recommend it. You can watch half the first season on Amazon Prime. Or all the entire season.
If you happen to know the right place.
Yeah.
Yep. Mike, did you ever get your Roku hooked up?
No. No, and I'll tell you why I haven't hooked my Roku up. Because I've been getting emails from Roku basically telling me, okay, look, you're the last original Roku user. Will you please buy a new Roku? And I'm like, no, I have a Chromecast. I have a Fire TV stick. I'm not buying a new Roku. And they're like, will you please buy... I'm getting emails once a week now. Your Roku is no longer going to be supported. It's okay, because I haven't been using it.
Yeah.
I don't plan on using it anytime soon. So, no, I have not. So the question then, well, I guess you're asking me because of Plex.
Yeah.
Okay. So the question then becomes, have I taken the time to try and set up the Plex on the Fire Stick or my smart TV or the Chromecast? And the answer quite simply is no. I have not.
You're just lazy.
It's just not high on my priority list. I'm not trying to, no offense, but it's just not.
Oh, I know. My wife, I worked all weekend. I worked this whole weekend. Okay. And when I mean worked, I put in 18 hours at one client after putting in 3 hours at another client. All right. So I worked all weekend, and I had a family luncheon I had to go to. And, which was, tons of fun. But my wife decided that this weekend would be a good weekend for her to go flower shopping and ask me if I had time to put up the trellis on the pergola. I'm like, no, I don't. No. Nope. And then asked me if I had time to weed eat the backyard. Nope. Sorry. Not unless you want me out there at midnight when I got to be up at 7. And I just got home, And so, yeah. And then she's like, well, what about next weekend? I'm like, working Saturday morning into the afternoon. Got a gig Friday night. So probably still going to be tired. Maybe Sunday afternoon? Maybe. I don't know. It's possible. If the fates align, maybe Sunday afternoon. I'll have a few moments to spare for you. Otherwise, I'm going out and earning all the money that you want to spend on this backyard. Whereas I would just like to blacktop it.
A rock.
I actually, honestly...
No, not rock. Trust me. Not rock.
Honestly, I was thinking about, if it wasn't for the dogs, I was thinking about the rubber shredded stuff that they have at playgrounds.
Oh, no.
Just seeing if they could do that in green.
No. That'd be worse than rock.
No, you would be better off just laying out
AstroTurf?
Yes.
Yeah. I know, because right now my front yard is a dandelion farm. Well, and I'm growing a bumper crop.
Listen, rock, I've told you this. The problem with rock is, first of all, you got to be very careful about your choice of footwear on the rock, because you lose at least a cubic yard every month if you have the wrong footwear.
Okay. I did not know this fact. Wow. You are really, knowledgeable about this.
Rocks just get caught in your shoes. Trust me.
Now, I have big rocks. They're not baby rocks. These are big. If these rocks get stuck in your shoes, then then you have problems.
Okay. Yeah, but if they're big rocks, then how are you going to walk on?
With shoes on.
We're talking past each other here.
These are not even marble size rocks. These are bigger than marble size rocks. So these are what they call extra large. And that's only because I didn't want the extra large, which are ankle breakers. But you don't come out in my yard. One, because I have 4 dogs, you don't come out in my yard without shoes on. All right, that is a problem in and of itself. Oh, anyway. All right, we got to talk about a celebrity death that occurred, because everybody's talking about it. And Mike, you caught this, and it was one of these things where my wife sent me a text 50 minutes after it was announced. I sent the text to you because, it's the work day, so I figure we're both working. And, you had already taken care of it 30 minutes prior, being on top of it like you are.
Yeah, and I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or not,
Well, no, it's good that you're monitoring the morgues. Somebody has to do it.
Yeah, I tried. I put the hashtags on there and tried to get PTR trending as a result, and I just couldn't get there.
Yeah. But anyway, big news, last week is on Thursday. Thursday? Right, Thursday? Or was it Friday? I don't know, but he was cremated today.
Yeah.
Prince. And I learned in church that he's known by Prince again. He's not the artist formerly known as Prince. He was actually known as Prince again. And that was after his contract expired. So
Yeah.
he actually went to the symbol because he felt like he didn't own his name anymore, because actually he didn't. And then once the contract expired with Warner Brothers, then he took his name back. Actually, I didn't know that. That's why he changed his name. I thought he was just being kooky.
I already saw that recently.
Yeah.
Because I think they were having more fun being kooky than contractual reasons. I made my name unpronounceable.
Yep. And so, it was interesting though, sitting in church and hearing about Prince. And it was interesting because but the pastor brought up Prince, Freddie Mercury, and another one, and I'm like, I know both those. I know Prince and Freddie Mercury. I don't know that they would agree with everything that's in that book. So it was interesting, but the whole sermon was about what's in a name. So, but Mike, you broke the story, so I'll let you talk about it a little bit more. What were the details surrounding that?
Well, apparently a week before, and there's been more details that have come out. Apparently a week before, Prince was on his way back to Minnesota, and his plane had to make an emergency landing for a medical emergency. And they thought originally they reported it was because of a severe case of the flu, but then details were a little sketchy because he was only 40 minutes outside of Minnesota. So if it was something related to the flu, I can't imagine a medical emergency that required that kind of diversion and that kind of response. So the next night he shows up, he does one of his shows, and they say, yes, it was the flu. He says, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. So then now the details are coming out that they actually had to land because he had to be treated for an overdose on Percocet.
Yeah.
And they had EMTs and what have you on the runway waiting when the plane landed.
Yeah.
Also hearing now that today it came out that Prince was on the verge of bankruptcy because he was a horrible businessman. And
well, I had heard a interview with Kevin Smith about all the different things that he would waste money on, basically. I guess there are just thousands and thousands of tapes and unreleased music and everything else that he had recorded that are just sitting in a room somewhere.
Yeah.
Because he would do it just for the hell of it.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, there was I saw that recently because there was a Kickstarter recently to get all Frank Zappa's tapes and stuff copied over. So before they all fell apart.
Yeah.
But the same guy was talking about, well, Prince just died, and he has an even larger collection of tapes than Frank Zappa did. So who knows what all the new stuff will be coming out, especially if he was that, out of money. Then his creditors will probably force all that stuff to be released.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have a ton of stuff released.
Well, and here's the other thing, too. The reports or rumors are that he didn't have a will. And in Minnesota, that means that each of his 6 kids would be entitled to an equal share.
Yeah.
To which I responded, he got 6 kids?
Well, he was married, what, twice?
Sure. I mean, he had God knows how many women.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, all you got to do is watch the video Cream, and you know that he was boning.
But then the other big thing that happened today was TMZ caught, who was it, Wendy and Lisa? They were the 2 girls that were in the band in the movie Purple Rain, and then they went off on a solo career or a duet career, whatever. after Prince and the Revolution disbanded.
Yeah.
And he went to be Prince in the New Power Generation or whatever.
Yeah.
Holy hell, they look bad. They were rode hard and put away wet.
Oh, I bet.
And that's being kind.
Oh, okay. I'm reading a story here that actually says he has no kids.
Maybe it's siblings?
It's siblings.
Okay. But there's 6 of them.
Could be. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to kind of see what happens there and how that all plays out. But what some of the tributes, everybody's playing Purple Rain for the tributes.
Yes.
Except for a few of them. Everybody's doing tributes to Purple Rain. Now, what I found that was interesting, and that I'll play a little bit of, was there was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Okay, did a few years ago was Prince, Tom Petty, Steve Winwood, Jeff Lynne, and some others did a version of "While My Guitar," what was it? "While My Guitar Silently Weeps" or something like that. And "While My Guitar Gently Weeps." That's it. And Prince played secondary lead guitar on this, and he really doesn't come in until about 2:50 or so on this video. So I'm going to go ahead and bump into that point, and then we'll get to hear a little bit, because people think of Prince as the singer, but sometimes people forget about Prince the guitar player, because he was really good at that if you listen to some of this.
People have said that Prince was the best guitar player since Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
And I think Rolling Stone, actually, they were interviewing Eric Clapton, and they asked him in an interview, how does it feel to be the best guitar player on the planet? And Eric Clapton said, I don't know, ask Prince.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have to listen to some of this. So let me put some of this in here. And I'm just going to play the audio. There he is. Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard guitar playing like that since I actually saw Eric Clapton in concert. It's really good in the finesse at which he does it. He makes it look so easy.
Yeah.
When you watch the video, it's great. So if you have a chance to see it, check out YouTube, and all you have to do is look up Prince "While My Guitar Gently Weeps," and it'll be the first one up there. While you're at it, they released a bunch of new stuff out there too for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So if you want to see some great, mega band type things, some of them are duds, but some of them are really, really good. So check that out. Yeah. Also in music news, now I know everybody's covered this already, but I want to kind of get you guys' reaction. So Axl Rose fronting AC/DC.
Well, AC/DC needed someone to sing for him.
And have you heard some of the rehearsal material?
No,
that I have not.
Oh, some of that stuff is ridiculously good.
I gotta say that, going back to Prince, the only songs I really know of Prince that I've heard a lot of are his songs from Batman.
Yeah.
And so to go on to AC/DC, I'd have to say that off the top of my head, I don't know any AC/DC songs.
So you do. Thunderstruck.
I'm sure if I heard them, I would recognize them, but I would not recognize them as being of any particular group.
Oh, I don't know. If you saw Iron Man, the one where he jumps out of the jumbo jet, Iron Man 2, I think that one's fairly iconic. Thunderstruck.
I am sure I know the songs. I just don't know them as being AC/DC songs.
Let's see here. So I'm trying to get to that one's probably not real. So here is Axl Rose and Angus Young performing live. Oh, this is at Brit. Oops. Where is it? Where is it at? Come on, I want to hear Axl sing. Stop buffering, stupid YouTube. But he does pretty good because they were in Coachella, first week of Coachella together, both AC/DC and Guns N' Roses at the same time. So he kind of bounced between both bands. Here we go. But it's weird because he doesn't. He does kind of sing. He does kind of sing in a similar style. It's that yelly sing.
Let's see. Here's the problem. Okay, when you take somebody like when Journey replaced Steve Perry.
Here's the one that I actually
with the Pineda guy, right?
Yeah,
he was an unknown.
The guy from the Philippines, yeah.
Yeah, you didn't associate him with anything else. Axl Rose is Guns N' Roses. So it's very difficult for me to imagine Axl Rose fronting AC/DC.
Have you seen a picture of Axl Rose lately? Because he doesn't look like the old Axl Rose.
It doesn't. No, it don't matter.
It depends how they bill it. Is it Axl Rose with AC/DC, or are they going to call themselves AC/DC? Because like when Queen was going around with like what's his name from American Idol. Anyway, so it was always
Adam Lambert.
Yes, it was always billed as Adam Lambert with Queen. It was never Adam Lambert was never a member of Queen.
Well, yeah,
and they're always very careful to have them separately billed like that.
But this will be AC/DC's third singer, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes.
So
because their original singer was killed in a bus crash, I believe.
Yeah. So this isn't the first time for this. Whereas,
Okay, but there is a difference between bringing on a new singer because your old singer is dead versus bringing on a new singer because your old singer is having a health issue that he could come back from.
You can say that better, Mike. There's a difference between bringing back having a new singer because your old singer is dead, and bringing back a new singer because your old singer is deaf.
Well,
okay,
but,
yes.
and I think that it would have been different had Brian Johnson not been in this predicament of his own making, because it wasn't. The doctors have said, at least according to what I have read. And by the way, this is the most music news we have ever done.
Yeah.
All right.
And I happen to, actually heard the story.
We know this story. But Brian Johnson, as Colin and I at least know, is an avid amateur race car driver.
Yes.
All right. He loves cars. And doctors have actually said it's not from concerts that he's in risk of losing his hearing.
Yeah.
The concerts were fine because he was wearing ear protection during the concerts. The problem was with his racing. His racing, he wasn't properly protected from the noise of the track and the engines because it's all classic cars.
Yes, and much louder.
Much louder, much closer and louder. Mm-hmm. And that's what caused the problem. So, and AC/DC, according to what I have been told, had warned him about his hobby before and said, listen, we don't want it to come in the way of the band.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where we all make our money. So, I mean, I feel horrible for Brian Johnson and AC/DC because I like their music. And they're one of the few bands that have never changed their formula to adjust for the times. They just keep pumping out the same stuff over and over again. Even though we all like the same songs, which are 20 years old at this point.
Yeah.
They at least they play those songs. They know what we like. And their catalog of the favorite songs is big enough where they can do a concert on just those and not worry about it. But Brian kind of created this problem a little bit. I'm not saying there shouldn't be some leniency in there for him, but the band also has to do what they have to do because they don't have any other income. And maybe they squandered it all away. We've seen things like that before where they didn't invest.
I don't understand. Like he's potentially suffering hearing loss.
Well, the doctor straight up told him if he does one more concert, he's deaf.
And there's no way that he can somehow protect his ears during a concert.
Evidently not. I would have assumed that had that been a possibility, it would have been the first way.
And maybe if he's off for a bit, it'll get better. I mean, Pete Townsend had the same problem with The Who. And because he was getting hearing loss. That's why he stopped doing concerts for a while. But I think he started doing concerts again, so they must have figured that out.
Brian's also fairly old. I mean, he's getting up there. Now, that's not to say that they're not going to have a problem with Axl because he's not the most reliable guy in the world anymore. All right? He has shown up 4 hours late to a concert, to his own concert. All right? And that's like a bar concert, not a stadium show. So I can't imagine the type of contract that they had to write up with Axl Rose to say, listen, you are not representing, Cruns and Crozes anymore. All right. You're representing AC/DC, one of the biggest bands in the world, known across all the continents. All right. Because they play, worldwide shows. Not to say that Guns N' Roses didn't, but you know what I mean? Because when you think of Guns N' Roses, you can't think of Guns N' Roses without also Slash. It's not Guns N' Roses unless you include Slash.
Okay, that's pretty much what I know about Guns N' Roses.
Slash has gone on to do his own thing. He's done Slash's Snake Pit and some other bands that he played.
He did Velvet Revolver was one.
Right. So Slash has a life outside of Guns N' Roses.
Right. Whereas Axl does not.
No.
He's never done any other solo projects. He just continues to tour.
Correct. So I'm just very confused about the whole thing. And I'm just going to continue the discussion about music and break so that we will never have a chance of breaking this record again.
Yeah.
Steve Miller, who got
the Joker?
Yes, he got inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Right, he did.
Right? And went off about the whole process and the people that picked him and his record label and basically gave a huge middle finger to the entire industry.
Yes, he did. Oh, and it was great.
It was epic.
From what I understand, he has such disdain for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And part of it comes from the fact of they wanted to charge him for tickets. Did you hear that?
Well, that's part of it. But the other part is just the selection process that it's run as a business, not as a legitimate Hall of Fame. And that's it. They decide who gets in. I mean, I think part of it is because NWA got inducted.
For those of you who don't know who Steve Miller is, here's a few songs you might want to check out. Take the Money and Run, Rockin' Me, Fly Like an Eagle, Jet Airliner, Jungle Love,
The Joker.
All right. Those are just some of his big ones. All right.
Come On and Dance.
Yeah.
Steve Miller, my first official concert that I ever went to was the Steve Miller Band.
So,
but
oh yeah, he just had a few words for them.
And his band, basically afterwards, they were all just standing there like, what the heck? What the? Somebody shut him up.
Now, did they induct everybody? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, like 14 acts. Did they all get inducted?
No, I thought there was only 4.
Because I see, well, maybe these were all nominees. So here's the nominees. Here's what I see. The Cars, Cheap Trick, Chick, Chicago, Deep Purple, Janet Jackson, the JBs, Chaka Khan, Los Lobos, Steve Miller, 9 Inch Nails, and which I can't believe 9 Inch Nails is old enough to be on this list, NWA, the Smiths, the Spinners, and Yes.
Okay, so they had 5 inductees.
Okay, so that must have been the nominees.
Those are nominees. The 5 inductees were Cheap Trick,
Okay.
Chicago,
Okay.
Deep Purple.
All right. I know them. I'm not terribly familiar with them.
Steve Miller.
All right.
And NWA.
Yeah.
And I believe that's what kind of set this off, that NWA got inducted and he felt it was just a move to capitalize on the popularity of Straight Outta Compton.
I wouldn't doubt that. Let's see here. What are a list of theirs? I'm trying to see. They don't have a list of their favorite, their best songs.
Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water.
Yeah, I was about to say Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. I do know that one. Born to Run. Hold on. Smoke on the Water eclipses Satisfaction, Born to Run, and Smells Like Teen Spirit as the #1 greatest guitar riff of all time. All right, I guess.
Well, they said at the top, if there was a Mount Rushmore of hard rock, it would only have 3 bands on it: Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, and Deep Purple. So that's their,
I don't know, Mount Rushmore of rock.
hard rock.
Hard rock.
The Mount Rushmore of rock would be The Who, The Beatles, and the Rolling Stones.
I suppose. Wait a second. You said The Who,
Yes.
the Beatles, and the Rolling Stones.
Yes.
So on Mount Rushmore, in American Monument, you're going to put 2 British bands and only 1 American.
Yes.
All right, great
'Cause
job.
that's the way.
Very American of you.
No,
It's,
okay.
it's mighty white of you.
The Beatles defined what rock could be.
But where's Elvis?
The Who defined what a rock band looks like and plays in the concert, as they, were the ones who invented destroying things. Elvis is rock and roll. It's rock and roll.
Okay.
But
Elvis was called
Rolling
rock
Stones.
and roll originally. He wasn't called rockabilly. He was
No,
marketed
it was
as
rock and roll. Rock and roll is what was Elvis. The rest of them are not rock and roll.
Okay, they're just
Rock and
rock.
roll is Elvis. Yes.
Okay.
And Rolling Stones are the core of rock.
Okay, I believe
This was all explained to me by a college professor.
I believe Keith Richards is old enough that he could be on the actual Mount Rushmore.
Yes.
He's probably stoned enough to think he is Mount Rushmore.
And there is yet another great meme that has been going around. I have to see if I can find it real quick. Who posted it? Okay. Every time a musician dies, Keith Richards experienced the quickening.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I saw that too.
Put his head on the Highlander.
I saw that too.
So that explains why. Mr.
Why
Keith
he's still
Richards
alive.
is still
Yes.
alive.
Or here's another meme that's made up.
Yeah.
Every time anyone dies, Keith Miller tries to see if they've been cremated or not.
So, Keith Richards. Okay, since I don't have real cigarettes anymore, Keith Richards will be there. There can be only one.
So yeah, all kinds of fun in that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is one of those things where I like to hear about it, and I like to see like the highlight reel, but I'm not gonna subscribe to HBO to watch the ceremony.
Oh no, definitely not.
And they air it like 2 months after it happens. So why bother at that point?
So, by the way, since we're talking about celebrities and we talked about some deaths earlier,
Yes.
to say, so I was gone on
Yes.
vacation, watching all the celebrities die like flies,
It's
and I
really
was
bad.
sitting there going, "Wow, we and our listeners are really bad at finding people for our death pools."
A lot of these have been such out of nowhere. I mean,
Okay, like I was surprised that nobody had picked Doris Roberts. I honestly was. Because
Yeah.
she was up there. But some of them that I posted, I've gone to look and I'm like, whoa, nobody.
Yes.
Well, what shocks me is I go through and I'm like, okay, some of these people had to have died, and we just didn't notice the obscure ones, right? The baby Peggy and some of those. Right? So I'm looking every time we post something. I'm like, all right, I might as well check these to see if I'll check all the black and white photos, right, to see if they've died yet. What the hell? This Chapita chick is 107 years old. When is she going to kick the bucket, for Christ's sakes? You know, Jesus. Well, we might have to give her a longevity award.
But some of the people who died, I'm like, they almost qualified for my list from last year for really young people.
Now, here's the sad part. All right, some of these people on our list, they're approaching the point of negative returns.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where if they die, you lose points.
Well, no, we handled that. There is actually a bonus if they live past the age.
Oh, that's right. We did. That's right. We did do that.
We called it the longevity award. Yeah. It's just bizarre, man. How many people are living such long lives?
I mean, we may have to do a live run through here during hour number 2 if we don't. Well, no, we're not, because we still have the thing.
Yeah,
we can go through here. But yeah, I'm just as surprised as you. Like, let me go to our page and see how many we've actually posted.
And for those of you that are listening for the first time that don't know what we're talking about, every year before the beginning of the new year, we go out and we ask for your votes for 5 celebrities that you think are not willing to kick the bucket, but are likely to kick the bucket in the next year. And then we release that list on January 1st, and then you're awarded points if they die. We call it our annual celebrity death pool, patent pending. And, the winner at the end of the year with the most points, because it's all points based, gets a fabulous box of randomness from our studios. And the only thing you have to do is put in your picks, and if you win, send us your address. That is the one crucial piece, because we are not mind readers. So,
It's the 11th. Okay, I got to look. All right, so Patty Duke was before the last show.
Yep.
Admiral Akbar was before the last
No,
show.
it's wife.
Doris Roberts from China.
China, the wrestler. Yeah, that was the other one.
Yes.
She was announced like a day before Prince, and she had been dead for a couple of days, according to the coroner.
And here's the other sad part. It came out today that her agent had negotiated with the folks on intervention. They were going to do an intervention for her the day after she died. It was all scheduled and set up.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Now, this bothers me. Oh, Merle Haggard? No,
yeah.
Okay, no, we
knew that one. That one got points.
That was April 6th. Okay. This is the problem with scrolling on our page, because I find other things that we've shared that makes me very, very angry. And the fact that The Rock is going to
redoing,
star and produce a remake of Jumanji.
I saw that.
I don't understand.
I don't like it.
I'm really surprised that. So, I know it's been what, a year now since Robin Williams passed away.
Uh-huh.
I don't fucking like this.
Damn it. I thought you had already done it, so I hit the button. I don't know whether we caught that one or not.
Well, as I said in the post.
Yeah.
No Robin Williams movie ever can be remade again, period. End of discussion. Thank you. Good day, sir.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that this close to his death that they would remake that one.
But see, yeah, I mean, Jumanji is such an...
Although I don't think that was one of his more popular ones.
No.
Now, you try to redo Dead Poet Society or, one of those.
I don't know, Mrs. Doubtfire?
I will tell you. I will tell you
Mrs.
what.
Doubtfire is the biggest one.
I'll tell you what The Rock can redo.
They're remaking
it's so old.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
No, that turned out to be a rumor.
Yeah, that was a hoax.
God.
I'll tell you one that they can redo that even Robin Williams wouldn't care about because he didn't mind. He didn't particularly like the role. they could put The Rock in Popeye.
How about Death to Smoochie?
Yeah, that one too.
Popeye's fine because that is an existing property.
Yeah.
I don't expect. I mean, that would have been okay even when he was alive.
That was like, what, 1982 that he did that film? I mean,
Yeah,
it was super early on.
A long time ago.
And not one of my favorites.
I like it.
I don't
but,
hate it, but it's just, I don't know.
I mean, he didn't even really care for that movie, to tell you the truth. I mean, they tried to bring it up on his special Inside the Actor Studio, and he's like, yeah, I did Popeye. Can we move on? So,
I don't really understand what The Rock is thinking, because that feels like...
well, supposedly it's going to be darker and edgier. I don't know what that means.
Is he trying to get out of kids' movies?
Disney? Isn't it a Disney property?
I don't know.
Probably. But is he trying to get out of kids' movies? Because it's not doing. I mean, he's doing good in kids' movies. He's just stay where his bread and butter is.
Kids' movies and Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah.
Okay, San Andreas, which I just watched over the past couple of weeks. He was actually okay in it. Central Intelligence, which is just a comedy with Kevin Hart.
I thought he was pretty good at G.I. Joe too.
Yeah. Let's see. What else do we have here?
Though I really wanted Duke back. I wanted that to be just...
The original Jumanji was distributed by Sony.
Okay.
Okay.
1 hour photo. That was like his dark turn.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Good Will Hunting, they're not going to remake just because.
Oh, you can't remake that.
Well, what's his name?
Matt Damon wouldn't allow it.
Well, wait. You could remake Good Will Hunting, just not yet. Because basically, Matt Damon would have to play the Robin Williams part.
Mm-hmm.
You got to wait, what, 20 years?
Yeah. You could. I mean, that could be it.
Are you going to remake it or do a sequel?
Okay.
It could be a sequel.
More Hunting?
It could be because it could be a sequel where Matt Damon plays the Robin Williams part as Will.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. What would you title it? More Hunting?
We could cross it over with the Bourne. If it could be heavy, you could
Bourne Hunting.
Good Will Hunted.
So they could remake Jack.
No.
How about Toys?
Toys.
Oh, Toys. There we go. The Birdcage. No. The Birdcage. No, that's basically. No.
That's
an existing property.
That is Robin Williams and Nathan Lane. Don't ever redo it. They were perfect.
They could redo that.
No, I like that one.
But that's his existing Broadway property. Just because. Do you know originally that the two parts were flipped?
I know, but then Nathan Lane said, "Hey, why don't we try it the other way?" And they're like, "Oh my God, why didn't we do this originally?"
I got it.
Yes.
The Best of Times.
I don't know that one.
Okay, how about this one? Moscow on the Hudson.
Nobody's going to remember that movie, so I'd say that's okay.
We can remake that. The World According to Garp.
Again, you can do that. I think you can probably do that one. Although that's kind of a classic. They show that in high schools.
What about Mork and Mindy? Make a movie version of that.
Yeah, that would no.
I can't. I don't know.
Because that's basically Robin Williams. So you have to find someone to play Robin Williams in a movie.
It wouldn't be too difficult with today's comedians. I bet you could find a Robin Williams lookalike. Not lookalike, but act alike.
Okay. So the second part is, how do you get enough cocaine?
That one I can't help you on.
Because that was Mork. Hey, Mork was honestly Robin Williams on way too much cocaine.
Well, that's like his early stand-up.
Yeah.
Like, what was it? Robin Williams at the Met?
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the most hysterical stand-ups ever. And you could tell he was high as a kite.
Oh, it was bad. All right. I think we are going to take a break real quick, and then we'll come back, and it looks like we're going to have to do all three things. for us in the second segment because we didn't get to any of them in the first. But folks, don't worry about it because we're still waiting on you to call in. So we'll take those calls when we come back. Everybody stay tuned. Again, you're listening to PTR Radio here on the fabulous Interweb.
I'm Deborah Howard, president of the Companion Animal Protection Society. CAPS is a national nonprofit dedicated exclusively to protecting companion animals from cruelty in pet shops and puppy mills. I'm inviting you to give a homeless animal a second chance at life. Many pet shop and internet puppies and kittens come from inhumane breeding facilities that mass produce for resale, while millions of animals die in shelters each year. Save a life. Please adopt.
Here to perform their song Eskimo from their self-titled CD, please welcome Corky and the Juice Pigs.
The song we like to play for you now is a little ballad that we wrote years ago while on tour in the Yukon. I'm the only gay Eskimo. I'm the only one I know. I'm the only gay Eskimo in my tribe. I go out seal hunting with my best friend Tarka, but all I want to do is get into his parka. I'm the only gay Eskimo in my tribe. Well, me and Nuckfluck Chuckbuck, we both like blubber, but me, I've got this crazy fetish for rubber. I'm the only gay Eskimo in my tribe. I make a wish on the northern lights that I could find a decent pair of whaleskin tights. I'm the only gay Eskimo in my tribe. And the seals, they sing now. These cold winter nights are taking their toll. I even get excited when I see the North Pole. See the North Pole. I'm the only gay Eskimo. Only gay Eskimo. I'm the only one I know. The only one I know. I'm the only gay Eskimo in my tribe. Now, like the Proclaimers would sing it. I'm the only gay Eskimo. I'm the only one I know. But I'm the only gay Eskimo in my tribe. Like Bob Dylan. I'm the only gay Eskimo. The only one I know. I'm the only gay Eskimo. Like Rico Kasich from the Cars. I'm the only gay Eskimo. The only one I know. I'm the only gay Eskimo. She used to be I. Like Oasis. I'm the only gay Eskimo. Like Van Morrison.
Only Eskimo. I ain't seen it going on the street. I'm telling you that. Jesus Christ fits in there somehow as well. And the crack was good.
Well, I'm the only gay Eskimo. I'm the only one I know. I'm the only gay Eskimo in my tribe.
This is PTR Radio with Colin.
But indicted means he was actually, went in front of the jury and they said, yes, you're guilty.
You're addicted?
Yeah. Indicted would mean that you just, anyway.
I've never heard the word indicted before.
Well, it says right here, indicted. Every single one of these, indicted.
That's how you pronounce it. Indicted. The C is silent.
Oh.
And now, live on the fabulous interweb, PTR Radio. This is PTR Radio.
everybody. Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the show. And we don't always schedule our breaks very well.
No, we don't.
I had Colin get me a drink, and then he goes, I need to go to the bathroom. And so then he left to go to the restroom. So he'll be back in just a few minutes.
I was wondering what happened there.
Sometimes how it goes. Yeah. Well, I was busy getting something to eat, man. I had to skip lunch today. So I was scarfing before the show. Then I thought, you know what? I better not eat while we're doing the show. So I was eating a little bit more during the break. But anyway, we're back. Hour number 2. Made a couple of changes to you now during the middle of the show. So hopefully you guys can still see us. And hopefully things go a little bit smoother. We had a little bit of audio issues during the first hour of the show. But we're back. So hopefully everybody comes back, watches the show, likes it. Don't forget you can give us feedback on the YouNow channel. You can also tweet us at PTR Radio, or the phone number is active and listening for your phone call. 877-787-8822. We are going to be wanting your feedback on some times that you either want to relive or redo. So it's a do-over or a do-again. That's what we're going to be talking about, I think, primarily the second hour.
Or a do it now.
Yes. So, like I said, I've got 3 from about this, the age of 9, 10, 14, 15, and then 1 from the 21, 22 age range. Colin, what age ranges are you dealing with?
Not particularly sure. I think teenage, and then unknown, and
teenage, past life.
It's just more general things for me, so it's like I'm not exactly sure of ages.
Oh, see, I had specific items.
One from freshman year of high school. I'll go ahead and do a regret.
All right. Mike, you said yours were about the same ages as me?
Yeah, like 8th grade, a couple of years ago, and about 20 years ago. So, yeah, 8th grade, like 23, 24, and then a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and does anybody want to go first with one of these?
Not particularly.
All right.
I'll go ahead.
All right, Mike. All right.
I'll
start off with you.
I'll do the most recent one first. This is a regret. Regrets. Right after our wedding, my wife and I discussed it, and we decided instead of taking a honeymoon, we were going to buy a hot tub.
Ooh, they say the proudest days of having a hot tub are the day you buy it and the day you sell it.
Yes, I would love to go back. I'm going to read it exactly as I wrote it because this is how passionate I get. No, yeah, just wait. I didn't say it yet.
I know. I'm standing by the button.
I would love to go back and smack the ever-loving shit out of myself to prevent that purchase. Because we thought it would be a great idea. Will make us feel better after I play hockey, and Kim's soreness would go away. We'd be in it all the time, and people would come over and hang out in it. No. It is the single biggest regret that I have since buying this house. Because it has been a major pain, a major expense, and a complete and total waste of space. If we were to buy a hot tub again, I would go back, beat the hell out of myself, and say, buy the little one. buy that little one that goes in the corner that only seats 3 people. Because only one of you is ever going to be in it at the time.
You don't have jacuzzi parties?
No. I would much rather have that little patio space back to give us an area to put the food when we have our barbecues and parties than have the hot tub sitting there.
Well, you just put some pieces of plywood on top of the hot tub, and put the food on top of that.
Yeah, make yourself a tabletop for
They
it.
get some stools and put a tablecloth over it. It's a table.
Yeah.
I don't even want to listen. Add to the fact that I had to run all new wiring and upgrade wiring to install this thing because the original breaker was a 40-watt breaker or 40 amp breaker, and I had to upgrade because they were nice enough to upgrade me on my purchase. I had to upgrade and spend $200 to have new wiring and a 60 amp breaker put in.
Yeah. All because you wanted to run bubbles and heat at the same time.
Yeah. Completely stupid.
Yeah.
And you ever try and sell a used hot tub?
Oh, you can't do that.
You got to give them away. There's no selling it. It's just giving it away.
Or just see if the city will take it away for you.
Yeah.
I'm literally at the point that I have told Kim, take pictures of it, put it on Craigslist, haul it, do whatever you got to do. If somebody buys it, I will have one of our friends who's an electrician come over and disconnect it. I'll drain it, get it ready for transport. They can come over with a bunch of their friends to move it. It's fine.
Yeah.
If it's not sold by winter, I'm not running it all winter again. I will either pay somebody to come in and winterize it, or I'm going to call the company we bought it from and say, look, we don't want it anymore. If you want to take it for parts, you can just come take it.
Yeah.
Want to take it and refurbish it or do whatever you want to do and sell it off the lot used, you're more than welcome to it. I just want it out of my house.
Wonder if they take it and do it a consignment used sale type thing.
No, because then they would, every single customer they ever had would have their hot tubs on consignment.
Just say, listen, I won't tell anybody.
I am giving it to you for free. Just come get it, and you can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where when you first come up with a plan, you're like, I really like going to hotels and using the hot tub. Would it be really cool not to have to pay the hotels, just have our own hot tub? And then you realize it's a heck of a lot cheaper to go pay for a hotel and use their hot tub.
Yep. That is exactly correct. So, word of the wise, don't buy a hot tub.
No. I think Colin can tell people that.
The funny part is, when we bought the house, the owners had a hot tub there, and they wanted to include that, and we told them, no, we don't want it. So, I don't know what they did to get rid of their hot tub, but I wish I knew because it was gone when we bought the house. So,
hey, does Habitat for Humanity want a hot tub? Then you can get a tax write-off.
Does the soup kitchen want a hot tub? They can just use it and make a giant thing of soup.
That's right. Just use paddle oars just to stir. All right. So my let's see here. I'm gonna jump to the last one that I have, the oldest one that I have. So when I was about last part of 21, second part of 22. This is the one that I actually want to relive. All right, and this is also where I'm glad that the wife doesn't listen to the show. So way before my wife and I were involved, shortly after I broke up with my ex. All right, I had tried the online dating thing and everything. And I went out with this one girl from Jacksonville, which is about half an hour away from here. Oh, hold on. Yes. Oh, never mind. That was upstairs. I thought somebody was knocking at the door. Anyway, so I went out with this girl from Jacksonville, and it was a Friday night, and I was supposed to do something Saturday. So I called. I've had too much to drink, and so I'm just going to spend the night here. Well, I had a little bit too much to drink, probably too much to drive technically. All right, but I could have probably driven. But the real reason that I wanted to stay there was because the girl was pretty hot looking. All right, and she was kind of into me. All right, and it's probably the only one night stand I've ever had. All right, and from what I remember, I was fairly good. All right, there was some fairly good movement on that one, and I don't remember how or what necessarily made it that great, but it was for not knowing your partner, because sometimes when you don't know your partner, you don't know all the bells and whistles and tricks and everything that you need to throw in there. But I guess I held my own pretty well in that circumstance. And all I do remember is that I now have a higher appreciation for Dave Matthews Band than I ever had before, because that was the soundtrack. So that one I'd want to relive again so that I could actually find out, is this my memory clouding is this my brain clouding a memory better than what it really was? Or, have I lost something along the way? So that's what I would like to actually relive that one again, and not wife notwithstanding, back in the day, because I don't know, for one night, did I actually have charisma and moves and everything in the right order? Because no other time in my life has that ever really happened, where I could where I could go out with a girl on a first date, make all the right moves, and have it into that way. That was the one and only ever time. Every other time it was months and months and months of work, to get to that point. So I don't know, maybe she was desperate, or maybe I was really good. I don't know, but I would like to find out. And by the way, there was no second date on that one, because I did go home the next day, and then that evening I was called by the Jacksonville Police Department, asking me telling me that I was the last person to see her, and asking me where I was during the day, because she had not taken the deposit from work to the bank.
Oh boy!
She showed up a couple days later, and I was off the hook. But for a while, I was a person of interest by the police.
Oh my god!
So you could have held on to that one. That would have been a good fit. Because we're also talking about sometime doing the two truths and a lie.
Yeah,
that would have been a really awesome.
Yeah, but that is also one of the reasons why that memory sticks with me so much, is because of and that's why, like I said, because people would have wondered, well, why wasn't there a second date? So I kind of had to explain that. But so that's one of the things I would like to kind of relive a little bit and find out. So all right, Colin, how about you?
Okay, well, I wish I had thought of the hot tub one, because that actually would have been a really good one, Mike. That would have been a bigger regret. It's also one I can truthfully look at and say that there was no.
There's no long-term regret.
No, there's no waves. It's like there's no butterfly effect.
There's no ripples in the pond.
Yeah, but
well, the ripples would have been the money that I didn't spend on the hot tub would have been spent on the house, which would have had a ripple effect financially.
Yeah.
So that's the butterfly effect of that. Or my wife not speaking to me for however long for saying, no, we're not buying this hot tub.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, it's like, could I travel back in time and have information and make myself a super trillionaire? And that'd be awesome, but then where would my nephews be? And then at that point, it's like, okay, never mind. So actually, but I will go ahead and do a regret and one up the hot tub and go with I wish I had not bought my house.
Oh,
really?
Really? I'm surprised about that. You like your house?
No, I don't like my house. I mean, I'm working on getting the house fixed up and stuff, but it's obvious that the people who renovated my house did a terrible job of it. And if I had known that, I also probably spent too much on the house because I was the first person to put a bid on it. So I didn't want to knock any money off of it. And then, a couple years later, that's when the stock market fell apart.
Yeah.
That's also when I found out that I was... anyway, there's a lot of problems there with the house. It's getting fixed now.
Okay.
So I don't want to get rid of the house anymore, but things probably would have been better without the house.
Okay.
Or a house, or an apartment. I probably should have thought about getting an apartment.
Yeah. You should have really just taken the money for the house and had your parents build a bigger garage so that you could have lived above it.
We have discussed the idea of building a gigantic house with my own wing.
Yeah.
But
or maybe renovate it for like a downstairs apartment, so that you have your own place, but it's just the basement with a separate entrance.
I kind of like the upstairs.
Okay. You could be like Mike Seaver from Growing Pains and live in the attic of the garage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like one of those, loft style, New York style.
Yeah.
Apartment things. Yeah. But
better yet, you could live. You could live in one of those New York style micro apartments where it's like a 5 foot by 5 foot section, and you could pay like $1,800 a month.
Oh no, tiny house.
Yeah, tiny house. You could park it in their backyard.
I have too much stuff for a tiny house.
You could
Tiny
downsize
house with the largest garage ever.
What I've said is it would be really cool is if
you could be the biggest tiny house.
If I won like the lottery.
If you just got an RV.
If I'd won the lottery, what I'd do is I would get a tiny house, right?
You could be like Pedge and live in a camper in your parents' backyard.
But the tiny house would be parked next to a warehouse. And then there'd be this like little control pad. I'd push a button and the tiny house would get sucked into the warehouse and a different tiny house would come out.
See, I was just thinking like a tiny house outside of an airplane hangar that would just have tape lines on the floor. So like that corner is my workshop. That corner is the TV area. That corner is the kitchen area. All wide open space. But the sleeping and showering and all is done in the tiny house.
Yeah. For your privacy.
It depends where that aircraft hangar was at.
On an abandoned military base. So you could also be living in the silos.
Yes, he should live in a missile silo, in a renovated missile silo.
If it was like a hangar in Seattle or somewhere else
that's
relatively cool, that'd be awesome.
Wait, I have an idea. Maybe you should get your parents to build a bunker in the backyard. An underground bunker.
I would so...
you could live there.
I would so love to own one of those big missile silos.
You could be like
in the houses.
You could be like Brendan Fraser.
No, he could be like Yabo in Gleaming the Cube.
Yes, you could. All you need are giant sewer pipes. Oh, okay. I love obscure 80s references.
Okay, so let's move on.
All right,
please.
From fantasy Colin houses.
I will go ahead and talk about my youngest.
All right.
8th grade. I had just gotten new Skyway Tough 2 mags.
Oh, we got a phone call. Hello, you're on the air. Hello. Hello.
Must have been a wrong number.
Yep, must have been a wrong number. Let me make sure that this is still... Yep, I'm okay.
All right, so 8th grade. I had just gotten brand new Skyway Tough 2 mag wheels for my BMX bike. And my friend who went on to become a very skilled auto mechanic, put the rims on ourselves. Then went riding. We see a couple of girls that we had crushes on from middle school. Middle school. We go chasing after them. They're on their bikes at the bottom of the hill. So we go chasing after them. They saw us. They turned. They went the other way. We said, we're going to catch them. We go riding top speed. I wake up in the hospital.
Oh.
It took somehow that we didn't pull the rim tight enough. And at top speed, the chain popped. And I fell and must have hit my head on the curb and woke up in the hospital. If I could go back, I would have taught myself that there is no reason at that age to be chasing girls. I can't even say women. Chasing girls for any damn reason other than they took something from you need to get back, like your wallet.
Yeah, what were you going to do? Like pull their hair and say, ha, you got cooties?
No idea. In my idiot mind, I probably thought if we catch them, they're going to think, man, he's fast. And that would be my in.
That would be your in.
Stupid.
To do what? To do what, Mike, at that age?
No idea. No idea. Be like, she likes me. She likes me. No idea. But if I had just accepted the fact that, or if I had not built up in my head that having a girlfriend in the 8th grade actually meant something, no idea what I was going to do. Trust me, this wasn't like now where in the 8th grade girls are having babies because kids are having sex in the 8th grade. That was not even thought of.
No, not when we were growing up.
Not when we were growing up. So I would have never gotten that first, because that's the major concussion. All right. And once you have a major concussion, the door is open. And aftershocks happen, and little baby concussions can happen if you bump your head into getting out of the car.
Yeah.
So if I never had that, just medically, from a medical standpoint, I wouldn't have the issue with bright lights, so I could wear the cheap sunglasses and be fine. I wouldn't have the physical issues that I now have because of post-concussion syndrome.
Oh, I understand.
I don't think that has a ripple effect either, per se, unless somehow my frame of mind would have been different, and I don't. But
yeah, no, I understand.
So, and the funny part is that I wasn't mentioned by name, but apparently my case, the whole scenario, was used as testimony or proof to get our township to pass their first bicycle helmet laws.
Oh. Well, and you didn't make any money off of that?
No.
That's too bad. You should have made some cash off of that. You know, pay their witnesses, pay their subject matter experts. That's what they need to do. All right, so mine, I'll go with. I'm not going to go with my youngest because that's like the one that I want to cap everything off on. That's probably my worst. So I'll go with my one when I was like 14, 15, which is along similar lines, Mike. It's another chasing after girls story. All right. Now I was, like I said, about that age, and I was as awkward as you can get. All right. Completely and utterly hopeless when it came to girls. All right. This is how bad it was. I was at a Key Club conference. All right, which is Kiwanis. It's the high school version of the Kiwanis Club. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, I am like one of 3 guys in our group, and that's like 15 of us. All right. So it was way, women centric. All right. And there weren't even that many guys at this whole conference to get, and it was every school in the state. This was the state conference. It was like 5 days, and it was great because it was formal attire. So like men in suit jackets and ties, and women in like, either power suits because it was the time. So everybody had shoulder pads out the wazoo, or regular dresses or whatever. So everybody looked nice. All right. Me, I still looked awkward in my coat that was too big because my mom said, well, you'll grow into it. We're not going to buy you something that's the right size because then we're just wasting money, and my dad's tie, which came down to like the zipper, because why buy you your own tie? And so I was at this thing and I'm like, oh, you know what? There's a dance like almost every night at this thing. So I need somebody to go with. But me being awkward and shy, horribly shy when it came to women, and having no self-confidence whatsoever, I thought, I've seen this trick work in movies. I'm going to do the secret admirer letter thing. It's the details are so embarrassing. I'm not even going to go into all of them. All right. But basically trying to hit on women via a note. All right. An anonymous note will not work. All right, especially with cheesy poems. When these girls know your handwriting. All right. Thank God they all had, I guess, good senses of humor back then, because I'm still friends with a couple of them. Carrie was one of them, Colin. I still know her very well, and her husband is a nice guy. You know, and so it was just very, very awkward, and I felt like such a dweeb. And right now, if I had to go back, I would love to go back and slap the paper and pen out of my hand and say, listen, you dork, if you want to ask a girl somewhere, just ask them. Don't do this cloak and dagger, meet me at the soda machine crap. You know, if you're interested, just be confident that, you know, we'll take you a lot more places than anywhere else. You know, and I actually did learn that event a little bit in high school, you know, but man, in early high school years, I was just a mess, just absolutely a mess. And I'm glad that I kind of outgrew it, but not totally. I mean, still, when I was like 23, I bought a girl a drink at a bar. Like, anybody really does that. And, you know, didn't go up to her or anything else like that. I thought that buying her a drink would be enough to make her come to me. All right, that's how bad, that's how horrible I was at the dating thing, okay? Especially the dating random people thing.
Well, I just want to piggyback on that. I had friends that when I would go to the bar, and this was maybe 20 years ago. This was before I met Kim while I was still in college, or at DeVry, before I started at AT&T. We would go to the bar, and he'd see somebody across the way, and he'd be like, well, buy her a drink from him.
From somebody else.
Like, no, for me.
My
friend would be like, buy her a drink and tell her it's from him. And I'd look at him and be like, what the hell are you doing? So then I'd go over. She'd buy the drink, and the girl would wave. I'd be like, and one time the bartender actually came over and said, you know, normally when you buy a drink, you go over and talk to him afterwards. I said, I didn't buy the drink. He did. I didn't want him to buy the drink. She bought. Same friend. He was older. He was a guy that was going back to school. We were at a bar one night, and this time I followed up. I went over and talked to him. I actually bought the drink, and I went over and talked to the girl. And she asked me, are you here with your dad? I looked at him. I'm like, I knew I was getting nowhere. I looked at him. I'm like, I wave him over. He's like, you need me over there? I'm like, yeah, come here. He comes over to the other side of the bar. I'm like, she thinks you're my dad. He goes, you called me all the way over here for that? Yes, I did, dickhead. I'm sorry, I had to tell that story.
Oh, no, that's great. I love that one. I love that one. That's a great one. All right, Colin, your turn.
Okay. I thought up a good regret one. So I'll keep away from the... Man, I really wish I could, go and see my favorite movies without remembering ever seeing them before.
Okay.
But so this was 6th grade.
All right, hold on. By the way, if you want to get in on this, 877-787-8822. We want to hear your story as well. You've heard us pour our ridiculous heart out. So now it's your turn. Go ahead. Sorry.
So this was 6th grade. We're doing this thing called problem solvers. It was like this.
Is it like the mathletes?
Yeah, sort of. Like they called us. It's like this special thing where they got like smart kids together, and we're supposed to like do this problem solving thing. But they did lots of like logic problems and stuff with us, which was fun. But they never really explained to us what we were actually doing.
Okay.
They just told us this like brainstorming and stuff. They were like, they told us that when you do brainstorming, you just you come up with a lot of stuff, and then if none of it's wrong, you come up with a lot of stuff. So that's what I did. And we came in like 2nd place within the district.
All right.
But then it turned out that something was wrong with the 1st place team. And so suddenly the score was changed. So now we were 1st place.
Sweet.
And so we actually got on an overnight stay somewhere, which I can't remember where it was anymore. But I think we stayed in like dorms on the college campus.
Okay.
And had like the regional problem solvers thing.
Awesome.
which because I still had no idea what was going on, and neither did anybody else, which is pretty much a pattern within the school district we both were in.
Yes.
And I completely self-sabotaged our team because the brief didn't make any sense to me or to any of us really.
Okay.
And so, but I happened to have a dictionary with a whole bunch of medical problems in it. So I just came up with a whole list of medical things that we could fix with whatever this thing was. And it was totally useless, and we bombed. Which came up also a couple years later because I had a science fair project that was selected to go to the regional science fair project. And I had no idea what I'd done with the science fair thing because our teacher had never really explained to us anything about what we were doing. Just we had to do a science fair project.
Uh-huh.
And mine was relative strength of paper towels, testing different paper towels, see which one's the best.
All right.
So I go to the regional
No baking soda volcano for you.
No, because that was too much work. This consisted of, those Tupperware canisters that fit inside each other, like one's for flour, one's for... Yeah, so I took the larger one and put the wet paper towel on top of it, and then put the other one on top of that, and then put cups of water into it until the paper towel burst.
Okay.
And then I figured out the weight by... because I could calculate how heavy water was.
Oh my God! Even your science fair projects are boring.
Yes. So I don't know how I was selected. So, but anyway, I got there and they asked for a syllabus. I didn't know what the syllabus was.
Oh.
Because nobody at my school actually cared enough to actually tell us kids what the heck we're doing. So those are my two absolute failures of smart things in school.
Okay.
It's funny because you mentioned the problem solvers. I was also it was called the Future Problem Solving Contest in high school. And we made it to regionals as well. And we came in second at regionals we lost by 1 point. And we had one blank answer on our questionnaire. And if we had put in anything, we would have won, and we would have gotten a paid trip to Michigan to compete in nationals.
Nice.
But I don't regret. That's not a regret because looking back, the people that I would have been going to Michigan with at the time, I would have been I wouldn't have been comfortable because I think there were 5 of us, and I think it was 2 couples and me.
Oh, great third wheel scenario there.
Yeah. Even though it was a school trip, no.
Yeah, it's not a regret. That's just you didn't make first place. For me, it was the equivalent of going to the regional football game and someone gave me the ball and I ran the wrong way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It was pretty terrible. But at least in this case, it's because no one had explained to me which way to run the ball with.
Yeah. All right, Mike. Last one. What you got?
All right. Last one. And this one is actually, this one could very well have a butterfly effect.
Okay.
But when I wrote these down, I didn't take that into consideration.
Right.
But when I graduated from DeVry and started working at AT&T, 2 weeks after, I got my associate's degree. And I had the opportunity to basically go back to school or continue school part-time to get my bachelor's.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do it because I was just so happy to be working. I had a mindset that I have a job, I have a salary. This is life. And if I lose this job, I can go somewhere else. The thought never crossed my mind that I might not be working for this company for the rest of my life. So my regret is that I didn't continue my education. And now it's going on 18 and a half years later, 18 years later. And for me to continue my education, basically I'd have to start over because everything I learned from my associates, I don't remember. Like I would have to go and take like everything except the basics, like English 101 and all that stuff. But any of the degree specific courses, I would have to start at 101 again. It's not like, okay, I took network engineering 205 when I got my associates, and I could just go ahead and take network engineering 305 now. No, because everything has changed. So I'd basically be starting over again. So I regret that I let myself take that much time off and didn't continue down the path.
Yeah, I can see that. I was like, my daughter is saying that next year she doesn't want to go to school. She wants to take a year off. She'll have her associates, and she wants to take a year off. Now, my mindset is if she takes a year off, she's not going back.
Well, I totally agree with you. The compromise there would be do part-time this year.
Well, her thing is, and you know, to some degree, I feel like this is kind of a failing on my part, is that really she can't afford to go. We can't afford to send her to the school she needs to go to for the next 2 years because it's away from home. It's, you know, even though it's a community college away from home, still now you've got to do room and board and everything and the tuition and everything else. So, you know, it becomes a bigger expense that, quite frankly, we just don't have. And, you know, her mother's not willing to chip into it at all or anything else like that. So it all comes down to my daughter and myself. So, you know, and there just isn't anything left at the end. So she's paid her own way through the first 2 years of school to get her associate's degree. All credit to my daughter for that. I mean, she has done it all, you know. And the other part of this is she has a boyfriend and she's had him for like 18 months now. And I know he's not really crazy about her going away to school for 2 years, you know, and I know she's not real crazy about leaving him either. And she's moved her way up in the store that she's at to now, as soon as she turns 21, they basically want to make her an assistant manager. So, and that's a year away. And, you know, I've kind of changed my idea about college a little bit. You know, if she's not 100% sure that's what she wants to do, I don't want her to waste her money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if she is happy, and she seems to be happy doing what she's doing. So if she's happy doing what she's doing and it's a job that needs to be done that isn't going to require a degree, then who am I to tell her that she has to go and get a 4-year degree? The way it's looking, I'm going to be the only person in my family, because the family line is stopping, in my family line that has ever gotten a bachelor's. So, you know, if that's the way it is, then that's the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the only person in my line that went to college and graduated.
Yeah.
Well, the only person that went to college and flunked out the first time, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
I've told that story before. You can go back through the archives. I'm not going to. But, yeah, the other thing I would think about, I'm happy where I wound up because obviously by doing the technical stuff for TCOM and all that got me into computers and the net. And I wouldn't be doing this show if I had gone down a different road. But part of me thinks about, okay, what if I had just become a forklift driver? You know, before I went to school, I was driving a forklift at BJ's. What if I had gone on to drive a forklift like at the loading docks in Port Elizabeth as part of the union? That would have been completely different. Or what if I had taken those classes on the side to learn how to weld and I became a welder?
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly.
Which I still want to do. I still want to learn how to weld.
Yeah.
No, Mike, I'm in a very similar situation to you. I mean, I didn't even get the associates. But if I went back, I have no idea what of my original classes would still transfer.
So,
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I honestly have no clue.
I've always said if I plan someday to go back to school, I'll probably get like a history degree because I like history. And the only reason I'd be going back to school is to say I have a degree.
Yeah, but you know a history degree is not going to get you a job in anything. You're just doing it just because you want to.
I don't need the degree.
Yeah.
You know, like there's part of me that says, okay, I want to take classes on the side to better understand video editing and things like that I can do on the side in my current job. And if I lose it, then I can put that to work some other way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Although, you know, a lot of people in that field, because I've always thought of, you know, after I get done, I want to go into professional radio. You know, I like radio. I really do. There's no money in it, but I like it. You know, I would love to, after I retire, do a radio job, you know, but unless you're Howard Stern or, you know, Opie, there's no money in it. No. You know, but everyone that I talk to that's in either the visual effects or the radio or anything else, they say, listen, a degree is not going to really get you anywhere. You need to get in somewhere as an intern or something like that and work your way up, because the degree doesn't even necessarily get you an interview.
Yeah, and that actually was part of my theory. Like some of these like around here we have they're not just DJs, they're more like entertainment companies. Like the guys that did our wedding, okay? They do major events. They do the lighting, they do the backdrops, they do furniture rentals, they do the photo booth, they do laser effects, they soup to nuts.
Yeah.
They don't do a whole lot of like videography or stuff. So I've had ideas of going to them. What about bringing in your own in-house officiants? Yeah, you know, that's another thing I've thought about is, all right, I'm ordained. Maybe I can start doing weddings on the side, because in New Jersey, my ordainment is actually recognized.
Yeah.
I just need somebody to show me how to do all of the paperwork side of it, because apparently the officiant has to actually file the wedding license for the marriage to be legit.
All that means is that you turn it into that. All that means is that you turn it into usually the county.
Okay. Well,
that's all that filing means, is that you make sure all the signatures are there, and then you turn it in.
I need to make sure that that's all it means. I'm contemplating, depending on how Butterstown Gifts and Creations takes off, because I'm doing a lot of the mug design now, because we're expanding into the mugs, as I showed you. Depending on how quickly this takes off, I may look into possibly reaching out to the officiant that did our wedding and say, hey, look, can I tag along? I want to work with you. I want to tag along and see what happens and how it's done, and then
then the way you could introduce it to him is say, listen, I just want to shadow you for a few, and then, hey, if you need someone to cover,
yes,
then I would be available to cover if you have a conflict or whatever.
Exactly. Yes.
And that way it doesn't, to him, it doesn't feel like you're taking work away from him. It just, you're another resource. So her. So Colin, all right, let's go with yours, and then we'll wrap up with mine.
Well, this is going to be very,
because mine's gonna generate a lot of comments from you guys, I think.
Okay. Mine's going to be it's sort of a duel, like I did last time, because otherwise it'd be too boring.
All right. So I was riveted by problem solvers. You know, that was riveting stuff, man. All right, go ahead.
So there's two things that's actually going off of Mike's last one.
All right.
There's two physical things that I wish I could go back and wipe out of my life.
All right.
The first is that my right little finger was crushed in high school.
Okay.
And it still annoys me to this day. And I know when I get a senior citizen, that's going to be my biggest thing. Every time I do this, my little finger pops. And it's very
okay.
Anyway, so 4 years old.
4. Okay.
I think 4, maybe 3.
Little baby Colin.
Yes.
A true cherubic one, Mike. He probably looked just like him then.
So I was at my grandparents' house.
Uh-huh.
And my grandfather was fixing his tiller. To be precise, he replaced the muffler on his tiller.
All right.
And for whatever reason, so he used the tiller. And then for whatever reason, because I had seen him, gripping the muffler and putting the muffler onto the tiller, I decided to go up and grab the muffler.
So the heat radiating off of it didn't give you any clues that you shouldn't touch this? Of course, you're 4.
Or 3. I mean,
You're 3. You're dumb.
Yeah.
All right.
It was so hot, I did not feel any pain.
Okay.
My hand had gone instantly numb. And kind of like my hand had gone to sleep.
Cherubic one with 3rd-degree burns on his hand. All right.
So I went inside and I thought I had just got something on my hand. And so I washed my hand. And that wasn't...
I bet that hurt.
Now, so I had to jump from that to, So
did you rub some salt on it while you were at it?
No, because I went and asked for help, and I had my hand in a water bath. So anyway, so the next day, we go to the doctor.
Yeah.
And my usual doctor wasn't there. It was some other doctor.
Uh-huh.
And so if there's anybody listening who's like trained to be a doctor or is a doctor, do not ever tell a kid this is not going to hurt while you have 2 nurses holding them down and you're approaching their hand with a pair of scissors. Because they then proceeded to abrade my hand with a pair of scissors, cutting off all the dead skin. And then I don't know how long after that, because it's like I said, I was really young, but of having to have my hand wrapped every day.
Boy.
So that's a experience that I wish I could wipe out.
Did your mother have you tested after that, just to see if there was anything else wrong with you?
So, yeah, but the little kid, mufflers are hot. just in case you did, if
Mike,
no kids listening for some reason.
Mike, did you write that down?
Yep, I did. That's one of those things that everyone needs to know. That should be part of the manual. Mufflers get hot. I actually thought I melted my fingertips off one time because one of my cars, I got home and I looked at my brake rotors and I could actually see grooves in it because, silly me, 18 years old, didn't realize that, okay, when the brake starts squeaking, that means you need to replace the pads. I actually gouged out the rotors. I'm looking and I touch it. I'm like, ooh, burn my fingertips.
All right.
Yeah, brake rotors also get hot. Actually, that's just many parts of a motor vehicle tend to get hot.
Here's a little hint, guys. Let your engines and all your automotive things cool before you touch them. All right? Wait to touch things. When in doubt, wait. All right, so here's mine, and this is, God, I was such a jerk. All right, so like I said, this is like 9-10. All right. My dad was in a bowling league, and I don't know if I've told this story before, so excuse me if I've told this story before. But my dad was in a bowling league, and my mom had to work or had some meeting or something, so he ended up taking us to bowling, and then Mom was supposed to pick us up. And so, but Mom, when she came, she wanted to see him bowl for a while. All right. So typical kids, me and my sister's like 2 years younger than I am. They gave us some money and said, here, go play video games. All right, go occupy yourselves while, we, whatever. Well, I guess my dad had done pretty good, and so he bought a round of beers or something for the team, whatever it was. So I spent my video games on, it wasn't even Mortal Kombat back then. I don't even remember. RBI Baseball, I think, or something like that. I spent my money fairly quickly because I wasn't very good at them. All right, so I came back, and I said, hey, can I have some more money for the video games? And they said, no, we don't have any more. And I said, and I still regret it to this day, we'd have more money if Dad didn't drink so much beer.
Wow.
Oh, my God. And I said it loud. I think everybody, 2 lanes on each side, heard over the... This is a 30-lane bowling alley. Oh, everybody heard. And my dad just looked at me like I was the worst person in the world. He crumbled up a 20 and threw it at me and said, here, go away. And I picked it up and I walked away so slowly. because I knew that what I did was wrong. And wasn't now for those of you that may think, oh, he said something smart. No, it wasn't smart. All right. My dad really didn't drink that much. All right.
Let me tell you.
I was just being a jerk.
I remember being in the store with my mother one time, and I asked her if I could buy like a toy. I think it was when Mask was out, right? When the toys, and she said no. So I threw myself on the floor and started crying and said, "Don't hit me again, Mommy."
Oh my God. I don't feel so bad now. Oh my Lord.
Wow. And the funny part is my mother never laid a hand on me. My mother's trick was to lure me in close, and she'd have dish detergent on her finger. And she'd be like, "Come here, let me see something. What's that on your lip?" I don't know what. And dish detergent right on my tongue.
Oh,
it was soap in the mouth. That was her trick. My grandfather hit me one time because I got mad and I kicked a hole in the wall. And this was when he was drinking, so I forgave him. But my grandmother messed with my head because she hit me one time, knocked me down. I remember she denied it till the day she died. I'm sitting on the floor and I'm crying. She looks right at me. "What's the matter? You just hit me." "No, I didn't." And I just stopped crying. And I'm like, wait a minute. No, she did. She put the Jedi mind trick on me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did that one time. I never did that again.
I lay awake at night sometimes and just me saying we'd have more money if Dad didn't drink so much. Go in a loop in my head. And I'm just like, I should call and apologize now. 30 years later, I should call and apologize.
No, you didn't say, did you spend the 20?
Oh, heck no. No, I didn't. Because the thing is, all right, my dad did beat my ass when I deserved it. But that's the one time he didn't. All right? He never did hit me for that. And he should have. All right? In front of everybody. No. I gave Mom back the money after we got home. And, it was a quiet car ride home that night. There was not a word spoken. Yeah, it was bad. And I just think, that's like, there's only 2 times where I think I have really, really pissed off my dad. And that was one of them. And the other one we'll have to wait for another time when we play this game. All right. But that was one of them. And I so regret that one. The other one I don't regret quite so much because I think I was in the right. All right. But this one I definitely regret. And, it was really bad. All right, folks. With that said, we are out of time for tonight. But don't forget, if you've got your stories, we would still love to hear them. Email them to show@ptrradio.com. Post them on our Facebook page or send us to them on Twitter. Or as always, you can call in to our 877 number and leave a voicemail. That's 877-787-8822. Any voicemails you leave, we'll play for you next show. And we would love to hear these stories. I mean, you heard what ours were, so we would love to hear what some of yours are. Now, we're going to be back in 2 weeks, but for those of you on Rant Radio, this episode will probably re-air next week. So in case you didn't hear the whole episode, you'll get to hear it again next week, unless I throw some random replay in there from the 3-year hiatus that we took from you. You just never know. So we're going to be back on the 9th is when we'll be back live. And then I think on the 9th, didn't we decide the 9th would be when we do our own obituaries?
Yes.
Okay, so we will be doing the obituaries on the 9th. We look forward to giving those because I've got some great ideas for mine. And again, that's all in fun. Nobody's really dying on the show. All right, and those are going to be lighthearted, so that should be a lot of fun. Until then, I'm Shaggy.
I'm Colin.
I'm Mike the 8 Man.
Thank you to You Now, Rant Radio, YouTube, and all of our wonderful sponsors. Butterstown Gifts and Creations, Radical Thinking, the Razors, Dollar Shave Club. Everybody, thanks for helping out the show. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to check out the website, ptrradio.com. Stick a fork in us, folks, because we are done. Later.